Hi, welcome back to my channel. So I've just watched this really good video on detachment and I just wanted to like discuss it because it's not something that I've actually seen for a while as like a specific topic that people talk about, and it's not something I've done for a while and put focus on, but I feel like I have done during my like awakening and spiritual awakening and blah blah blah. I feel like it has been something that I have done and has like brought me a lot of peace. So I feel like especially when it comes to dealing with the past and stuff, like if you are traumatized by a situation or you've got this like strong emotional hold on a situation from the past, you can feel very like attached to it still, and that means that like a part of yourself is then stuck in the past and it's not brought to like the present and you're not able to deal with the present. I feel like when you can let go, it's actually just like apparently just like a really uncomfortable sort of like aching process to do this. I've heard someone say it's like really like it's aching you because it's like your hand is aching because you're forcing it to be removed from something that you've like once prayed for, and I feel like this is the case with other people and just like situations and parts of like yourself in general, because I feel like especially if you haven't like done journaling your whole life, I feel like journaling allows me to let go of like misconceptions that I have about myself and other people and the world and this, that and the other, where like maybe they've been distorted by emotions or experiences or whatever, and I think like that's a really powerful tool. But I also think just on a like, I don't know, I think it's just on a metaphysical level, or on like a mental, psychological, spiritual level, just to imagine that like hand being released from like a situation, because I was going to like sort of discuss like the aspects that you can detach from as well, because obviously on the tangible, because I wanted to sort of like go through this myself, but I thought it would be the best place to just do it in video realistically. I think first of all, relationships actually would just be a good place to start, because especially just like toxic people and people that aren't going to get you and be in alignment with you and feel like you have anything in common with. I think we all have something or another in common with each other, but I also think there are also discrepancies between what people have in common, and you know, that is just for divine purpose, whatever. It's just the way it is realistically. No one can change that. It always is what it is. A lot of people will hold on, you know, this is why we all have different perceptions, and you know, we all find the perception that benefits us as a person, but it doesn't mean, like, some people will innately say things that are wrong and go down a route that might not be in truth, and sort of run off with that, or they might focus largely on one aspect of it. But if you're resonating around truth in general, you are on your own personal path, and that's not to say that someone else is wrong if they're in truth and they're on their own personal path, and it doesn't make it right, I also think, to attack someone else's free will if they have an opinion about something. And from my experience, even when people are those type of people that are just gonna like throw people off and create loads of stress, bullshit and delusion for like no reason, or a particular reason that maybe, you know, somehow related to, you know, like chaos people that create a whole issue in order for like a dark outcome, another outcome which may all work out in the end. You know, those people, you can't take them literally. You know, you get, but in the now and in the literal, when you look at things on a black and white perspective, and this is true and this isn't true, you're not going to convince those people to change. You're not going to convince anyone to change realistically unless you're going to resonate on a level. I think I talk a lot about the universe, about what you resonate at. You resonate with what you fear, what you are, and what you're used to. So on a level of detachment, you can fear something and be attached to it because you fear it. So I suppose when you release it, I can only imagine it releases fear. And I heard someone say that when they did a lot of detachment work, their faith became stronger than their fear. And I have heard a lot of people talk about fear versus faith before. I heard someone actually say everything is a move of faith or a move of fear, and this can make sense. And as I say, I don't like to, you know, question, you know, a lot of people will do things that, you know, might not be as morally, you know, justified as one might hope in, you know, life, but a lot of the time people do try and move in love for themselves at the very least. And I suppose if you're moving in love with yourself, in alignment with love within yourself, you're going to find you know, an outcome which creates love around you in a sense. So that is important, I suppose. As a lot of people have a lot of issues with people, I think, that that don't do things that are morally justified and work from a selfish place, but we all have limitations and that can't be changed. So we all have to work around those limitations to one degree or another, and some people just are innately more selfish. That's fine. But anyway, so if you attract what you are, I'm just thinking, so on a level of detachment, if you are attached to something that you are, I feel like it would just make you more free, because realistically you're going to keep attracting that you are. But if you cling on to something that you are, you can't, I suppose, find other aspects of what you are as well. You know, that's, I think, a really imperative part of detachment as well, from that sense, because I felt like when I was detaching from a lot of things, it really made me expand like different areas of life and different experiences in life that you know, I really needed to find, and I really needed to experience, I really needed to go through, and I really needed to connect with, to like reach that next level of the Mario game, if you will. Like, so you're kind of moving in this, I always like to look at it of moving through levels. You're not going to get, and this is when I do actually want to address this, to be honest, because I swear I missed out on a different video on quantum leaps, more on the perception of perceiving other people. If people can't quantum leap from, no one can quantum leap, well they can, everyone can quantum leap, but it's really hard to go from level 13 to level 50 without going through the other levels. You can do a quantum leap from level 13 to level 14 if you're willing to do that work. But I think that's it's a hard thing to measure, because really no one has the rule book on what is a measure. But I think you can only move from one experience to the next in general. You can have big quantum leaps, but I think if someone's going to go from one particular thing to a very drastically different thing, unless you're healing from trauma, I don't know, I would just put a question mark there and try to sort of rationalize what might be going on within a person if you're dealing with these type of situations. So yeah, on another level, what is it? What else do you attract in the universe? So what you fear, what you are, and what you're used to. So in terms of what you're used to, I suppose, yeah, that is a massive thing to detach from, because especially, you know, first of all, if you detach from what you don't like, or what you don't like that you've been used to, you're going to innately attract what you do want to be used to, or what's more in alignment, or come across things that you will innately be more attached to, because of you attract what you are, and innately what you fear, but then you'll overcome those hurdles. So I suppose this is all why we all find alignment eventually, because you end up detaching from what you're used to, then attract what you are, and also what you fear, and within that you detach from what you fear eventually, and you move closer to what you are, or innately what you are in the universe within yourself. So you're really finding yourself. It's not about finding people that are extremely exactly like you necessarily, even though you can have people in your life, or people that you might have like soul connections with, or whatever, if you will use that term, soulmates or the like, that may be very, very similar to you, or people that you really, really have high resonation with, kindred spirits and things like that. But like, you know, when you, and I think it's more about being in alignment with yourself and your higher self. So you attract what you are. So the universe will reflect back to you what you are. You will meet that level in the universe as to what you are, and that's kind of the goal, isn't it? Yeah, I really like that, to be honest. And like, I do think it's easy to start then, because I think if people, I feel like when people don't detach, I think sometimes it's just one of those things that you just like manually have to do. It's just like that decluttering of the soul and decluttering of the mind situation that you do have to just like manually do. But I do think if you don't do it, you can get very caught up in the past. You can start to feel emotionally and physically and psychologically stunted within your experience, and I think you don't go through that natural process of like regrowth and rebirth very easily if you are stuck to a past experience. And as I say, it's always worth having like ultimate compassion for yourself, because any of us could be as traumatized as we we want, and it's something that I've literally only come to the conclusion of, like, my experiences have made me who I am, and I'm really actually processing that to the point where, you know, I could be so out of alignment to the point where I'm further out of alignment than I am now. And, you know, I could be, it's all about polarity at the end of the day. I feel like if you look at it, I mean, it's like a fucking Rubik's Cube. I'm not even going to justify that that analogy. You know, people are like Rubik's Cubes in a sense, and when shit fucks you up, your Rubik's Cube gets fucked. And you know, people, life is a journey, so everyone has to do their own Rubik's Cube. But at the end of the day, if you know, I could be so much further out of alignment, and it's never too late to start again, if you will, and it's never too late to do your next phase of life from a place of wherever the fuck you are, but realistically. So I like that as well, because you're really detaching from, and I haven't even thought about like detaching from like emotions, I suppose, in the present and in the past and stuff. I think this can be like a good strategy, like for people that have like BPD and things to do with, like, you know, when there's a thought therapy in BPD called DBT, and it's about detachment. It's about like maybe not detachment, but it's about emotional regulation. And I feel like they use that concept a little bit, because you really are detaching from what you're dealing with now and where your mind is now, and focusing on the actual what is, and the environment around you, and what's not in your head, if you will, what's not going on in your body and everything like that, in your mind and all that, because I've seen worksheets and stuff about that on Pinterest actually. So yeah, because I think it could bring probably a lot of freedom, to be honest, for people, because I have this very much like revitalized sense of self within that realization, to be honest. And I think, yeah, detachment, and it's from experiences as well. You can find your own closure in experiences, because God only knows a lot of people do not want you to find closure, or you will not have innately found closure from situations naturally, because of the fact that things end whether we want them to or not. And I think also from a level of, because I think once you detach as well, you set your boundaries up. I swear I used to talk about what jolts boundaries to go up. Healing and innately jolts boundaries to go up. I think when you think about an inner child level, you can be very attached to an outcome, because you might think that like that's what's going to get you what you need in that moment. We think as an adult, when you understand your inner child enough, when you can detach from those mechanisms, or like psychologically detach from those mechanisms, you will probably be able to meet those needs with your healthy parent anyway, I would imagine. So that's like a good part of it as well. And I feel like places and things actually as well, because when you become attached to places, you can feel, I think, we might feel like stuck in a place, or feel like you have to have like an object or a thing. I mean, so we all have our comfort objects, and we all feel comfortable in places, to be honest. But I think that could be something that people could do as well. But I think that's like a well-rounded look at the experience. Obviously, in terms of people and friendships and stuff, I do think even just in healthy friendships, detaching from elements, even that you resonate the same place on, it might just lead to, because that's not going to change. You're not going to change, you know, yourself to the point where you're not going to resonate on the same level anymore. You'll probably just end up growing your relationship, and you'll probably resonate on some other topic with the same alignment, the same energy. And I think a lot of people, sometimes there's a fear, because actually I have heard it to say that it does feel like grief as well when you release yourself from something, because in essence you are grieving what you are attached to. Anything can be you know, a mechanism to grieve over. And also if you are detaching from something that you attach to surrounding a group, you may feel this sort of like universal grief, like within your heart, surrounding things to do with other people. So surrounding other people, so you might have that like deep seated grief like in your heart sort of thing, for those type of things and experiences, and that's fine too. And you might find, I do feel like you might find that some people may further remove themselves from your reality, or begin to remove themselves from your reality when you do detach from things. And I'm not saying to like completely like go MIA from the world completely. I don't even want to talk about that now. I'm I feel like if you want to go away from the world completely, it is what's going to happen sometimes. This is what I do. I've done in the past and I've been absolutely fine. I do think people, especially introverts, there is a very long, like, I feel like you can spend any amount of time by yourself if you're an introvert, personally. But obviously we are all sort of wired for connection on some degree. I don't really want to comment on that too far. But yeah, because also it's like when it comes to like community and like groups and stuff that you may even still resonate with, there's nothing wrong with detaching and finding either different groups to resonate with, different people to resonate with, work even, detaching from aspects of what you do and what your job is and what you find important in work. It will elevate you, it will make you move to the next levels, and then you can feel, you know, evolved, and, you know, hopefully, because I don't know if it's like a maximum amount of levels it takes to move up through these experiences, but you've got to get there somehow. But anyway, thank you for listening, and I'll speak to you soon.